Hi, this is Lorena, and I wanted to do a tutorial on my foam pillow. This foam pillow is the pillow that I tuck into the top bar, and it goes in between the bar and my fabric. Now, I do this because it creates that wonderful drag that gives me the control so that I'm able to do those beautiful pebbles and small intricate work. And it also helps me have control on my line work when I'm quilting. A friend of mine, as you see this video, gave me this foam that I thought, okay, I'm going to use this instead of my old foam piece. But it was an inch and a half, and it was really hard to tuck into that top bar. So I decided to go back to my old faithful foam. Now this foam is, I believe, an inch wide, or excuse me, thick, but it's also 33 inches long and it's 15 inches wide. What I did is I added an inch of, so when I cut my fabric, I just added an inch. I recommend that you add an inch and a half to whatever fabric you're going to use to cover it. Now what I did is I cut one whole piece 34 inches long, and I believe it was 16 inches wide, and I cut another piece and I added 2 inches to the length, and I added only 1 inch to the width. And the reason is I cut the back fabric in half, and I'm going to fold where I cut, and it's going to make a seam line, and this is where the fabric or the foam pillow is going to tuck into the fabric. So here you see me. It doesn't necessarily matter where you cut your back fabric. I just did it in the middle, and here you see me ironing those that seam. I did a fourth seam line, and I'm going to also sew it twice. And what this is going to do is this is going to be on the outside. So this is going to be seen on the outside back fabric. And what I'm going to also do is I'm going to get my fabric together, make sure it's perfect, and I'm going to pin those two areas. Since I'm adding some extra length on my back fabric, I want to make sure that it's pretty much the same length as my front fabric. And so I tacked it down. I sewed in those two areas, and the reason I tacked it down is when I'm sewing the whole piece together, I don't have to worry about those two pieces shifting on me. And so here I am. I'm going to go ahead and pin all the way around, and then I'm going to go to my sewing machine in a minute, and I'm going to sew all the way around. And the neat thing about having those two pieces already tacked down together is when you're sewing this front fabric to the back fabric, there's no shifting at all, and you know that you got it already sewn. And it also creates that extra security stitches, because this is where you're going to be shoving the foam in. This is where the mouth is going to be at. And so what I'm going to do in a minute is I'm going to get my foam, and I'm going to put it underneath my piece with my ironing mat, and I'm going to iron all the fabric in the reverse. And after I'm done ironing it, I'm going to turn it right side out, that's the right word, so that you can see that beautiful fabric that I want to be seen. And I'm getting those corners and those edges, and I'm straightening everything out, and I'm just laying it nice and clean. And now I'm ironing the edges of the edge of the seam. And what I tend to do, and this is one of my little tricks, it's I tuck and roll. I roll in that edge of the seam, and then I iron. And what it does is it pulls that line out, or that seam out, so you don't have extra folds in there. And so here you see me just ironing the piece together as so that it's ironed, it's clean, those edges are nice and crisp. And then here I am going to shove that foam in and make sure that it's nice and tight in those corners. And then here I'm tucking in the other end, and I'm pushing it in there. Now I use duct tape to tape these two foam pieces together. You can duct tape as many pieces as you want. So if you have a long table and you do large quilts, you're going to want a larger foam. And so here I am just fiddling with the fabric, making sure everything is sitting nice and neat, and making sure those corners are all tucked in. Now, in a minute, I'm going to get the iron, and I'm just going to iron all that fabric and that foam together. Now, fabric expands when you're stretching it, and the neat thing is it contracts when you put heat on it. So here you see me closing off that end, what I did is I get basting glue and I glued that area like you see me right now, and I'm going to heat baste it, and that heat is going to close that seam together. And then I'm going to get thread and I'm going to just thread that line like you would when you're hemming something so that it's closed. I'm permanently closing this because I'm only using it for long arm quilting. So here you see the foam pillow just sitting on the fabric, and in a minute you're going to see me roll that bar, and the foam pillow is going to tuck inside the roll like right there. And I do this when this is a small pillow form that I use when I'm practicing, and so in a minute you're going to see a different view where you see the long arm in front of the foam, so it's not going to be in your way. What it does is it just creates that wonderful drag so you have control to create clean lines. For those of you who have a very easy moving machine, it's really hard for hand motion to control the speed of movement. And so here you see the opposite side where that foam is dragging on, I guess, the bottom bar of your long arm. Now, it will not create tension issues, thread problems. That's why I love the foam pillow. And so here's another view of how the foam pillow is tucked into that bar. I really do hope this helps the long arm quilters out there who are just getting started. And I really thank you for watching and thank you for subscribing. Have a wonderful day.